On August 2nd, 2017, an anonymous user posted a thread on Nichan. For certain reasons, I have 50 kilograms of meat that I don't know what to do with. I'm not a big eater, so I'd like to get rid of it quickly. A fairly innocuous thread, and certainly not the strangest thing ever posted to Nichan either. 30 seconds later, the replies started flooding in. People suggested he divide the meat and freeze it, or perhaps turn it into steaks. Others joked whether it was dog or human meat. The original poster replied that his freezer was already full, so that wouldn't do. And, being Nichan, the joke replies soon started rolling in. People told him to learn how to cut the meat at the joints for easy disposal. Others suggested putting it in a drum and throwing it in the ocean. Another poster told him to cook it and serve it to the police. Then it would be gone in no time. Someone else told him to just throw it in the trash if he didn't plan on eating it. Another suggested pickling the meat in salt so he could keep it for longer. At this point, the original poster replied again, this time to the person suggesting he throw the meat out. "Where I can get rid of the meat is the problem," he replied. "I don't really want other people to know about it, you know?" This prompted another flood of replies, joking that he was definitely talking about human meat, and some users even posted police emojis in jest. After receiving several more suggestions, including cutting the meat into pieces and disposing of it in the trash like the Inokashira Park incident, the original poster returned. "Can an amateur take apart a body?" he asked. "I've already drained the blood." As the replies continued on the best way to get rid of so much meat, another user remarked that this particular story sounded scarily similar to something that had happened on the occult boards years earlier. Nobody believed this to be a real post either, of course. After all, Nichan is full of trolls, and these types of threads are posted on a nearly daily basis. As the user noted, these types of stories or questions aren't uncommon over on the occult forums, so the replies came in thick and fast. Cut it up. Freeze it. Dispose of it in bags. Stick it in drums and dispose of them. Cover it in kitty litter. Drop it in acid, etc., etc. Only 7 minutes after creating the thread, the original poster replied once again. This time not to anyone in particular, but to those still hanging around. Dissolving it is an option, but won't that smell? I live in a residential area after all. By this point, people were already discussing the finer details of committing the perfect crime, sharing knowledge of how easy it would be to get rid of if you were a fisherman, and the trouble of making sure you get rid of every last strand of hair. After getting a few more pointers, the original poster returned for what would be his last response in the thread. "Okay, I got it. I'll cut it up and dissolve it bit by bit. Then I'll probably bury the difficult parts in the mountains. You can let this thread die now." The original poster left after that, although the thread continued for another 10 or so minutes before finally petering out. And that was that. Another of the hundreds upon thousands of threads posted to Nichan each day got buried by the masses who moved on to other subjects. But something that came to light several months later would bring it to the forefront again. On October 31st of that same year, Shiraishi Takahiro was arrested in Zama City, Kanagawa Prefecture. Shiraishi lived in a residential apartment complex, and police found 9 bodies hidden across various freezers and storage boxes in his house. He had reportedly used Twitter to advertise that he was looking for people who were planning on killing themselves, so he could watch or possibly assist them. It took the efforts of the brother of his final victim to bring the man to justice, and it was through his investigative efforts to find his missing sister that police were finally able to close in on Shiraishi. As soon as details of the man's crimes hit the public, Nichan users suddenly remembered that post back in August, asking about how to dispose of a large quantity of meat. Had the criminal posted about his crimes on Nichan before anyone even knew he was committing them? Looking closer at it, the details scarily matched up. Shiraishi's victims were predominantly young women, and according to statistics from the Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare, the average Japanese woman in her early 20s weighs roughly 52 kilos, the same amount of weight this Nichan user was looking to get rid of. Suggestions in the thread included cutting the meat up and storing it in freezers or other storage containers, just like this man had. Shiraishi reportedly also disposed of body parts in the trash, another suggestion that had appeared in the thread. But that wasn't what really caught people's attention. After all, you hear about this sort of thing all the time, and it's a common trope in crime fiction as well. No, what caught people's attention was the reveal that several of his victims had been buried in kitty litter. One of the suggestions in the thread was, if you remember from earlier, kitty litter. Not exactly the most common way to try and hide a body, and even in the thread, it was more than likely a joke reply. So when people heard that several bodies had been hidden in kitty litter, it got them thinking. It also got them digging. Nichan users then dug up another thread from September 6th, just over a month after the first one. This one was titled, "Tell me how to dispose of a dead body." First off, it's not like I've killed anyone. I'm asking just in case, so don't report me, the user began. But is there a way to get rid of a body that absolutely won't get me caught? Please tell me. At any rate, there's no blood coming out of the body, and it was probably due to drugs. Please respond as soon as possible. The joke replies immediately started coming in, as with the first thread. Suggestions of flinging the body towards the sun to dispose of the evidence without anyone finding it, burning it, eating it, making it invisible. All sorts of nonsense replies flooded in. Others told the user to consult with the police or even turn themselves in. One of the suggestions, however, proposed that having the case ruled as suicide would ultimately get rid of most problems, but remarked that it was also terribly difficult to successfully pull off. The original poster replied to this with, "Ah, I thought so too. I'll do my best." As mentioned earlier, Shiraishi reportedly posted on social media that he was looking for people who wanted to kill themselves so he could watch or possibly assist. He replied to some of them with, "Let's die together," insinuating that both parties would commit the act together when he had no such intentions of dying himself. For him, the joy was in the killing. He reportedly met his first victim sometime around August 23rd, his second around August 28th, and his third on August 30th. By the time this second thread had been posted, he had already killed 3 victims. He stole money from all 3 and strangled them with a rope around the neck, a trademark he would use for all 9 killings. He bought tools before he started his crime spree to help dispose of the bodies, and police discovered searches on his phone for how to cut up bodies. Even scarier, one of the replies to the second thread mentioned putting the bodies in a drum, as it was also suggested in the first, and the original poster replied, "I already did that the first 3 times." By this time, Shiraishi had killed exactly 3 victims. The second thread petered out a few hours later, when some users accused the poster of trolling, and he accused them of sucking the fun out of the post. And being that the threads are anonymous, there's no way to check whether Shiraishi actually posted either of them, and he's never confessed to posting them either. But the coincidences are numerous, and some of the finer details match up a little too precisely with the real-life crimes. Did Shiraishi talk about his crimes and seek advice on Nii-chan before the police caught up with him? We may never know, but you have to admit, it's a little creepy. What do you guys think actually happened? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.